Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Cushing, and today I'd like to revisit the Clinton email situation and ask the question, now, should the FBI reopen the case? In July of 2016, after the FBI director went on television to say that Mrs. Clinton would not be prosecuted for violating the law, I put together a video to outline why the FBI director was obviously wrong in his presentation to the country concerning the law and Mrs. Clinton's actions. YouTube deleted the video immediately upon it being uploaded, with the comment that the video was too long. But now, with the recent removal of the FBI director, I thought I would attempt to present the content again. The content this time will be broken down into separate, shorter video segments. Each content segment will compare Mrs. Clinton's actions to those of former General Petraeus and his ultimate prosecution by the U.S. Department of Justice. The question we have to answer is, should Hillary Clinton face potential criminal charges for keeping classified information of the United States at unauthorized locations and on unauthorized storage retention devices? To address this, we have to determine, what did Mrs. Clinton actually do? Did her actions violate federal law? Was she aware of the law? Have others been prosecuted for similar violations? What sentences did they receive? And finally, does Mrs. Clinton have any immunity that would shield her from prosecution? This video, Video 1, will address what did Mrs. Clinton do? Video 2 will address did Mrs. Clinton's actions violate the law? And Video 3 will address whether or not others have been prosecuted for similar violations and whether or not Mrs. Clinton had any immunity that would shield her from prosecution. So what did Mrs. Clinton do? Well, I think we all know what she did, but let's recap. Mrs. Clinton, while Secretary of State of the United States government, maintained an unauthorized private computer server at her home and at other non-secure locations to facilitate sending and receiving Department of State emails. The server was implemented and used without the U.S. government being able to load security software onto Mrs. Clinton's server. In fact, Mrs. Clinton didn't even notify the intelligence services that she had a private server. And again, Mrs. Clinton used this server as her email server throughout her tenure as Secretary of State. Now, as Secretary of State, Mrs. Clinton entered into a non-disclosure agreement on January of 2009 with the United States government, in which she acknowledged that the unauthorized disclosure, unauthorized retention, or negligent handling of classified information could cause irreparable injury to the United States or be used by a foreign nation against the United States. Here's page 1 of Mrs. Clinton's non-disclosure agreement. Here's page 2 of Mrs. Clinton's non-disclosure agreement. In the non-disclosure agreement, she acknowledged that any violation could constitute a violation of the United States criminal laws, including sections 793 and section 1924 of Title 18 of the United States Code. The first paragraph of the non-disclosure agreement had the following, and I'll quote, "Intending to be legally bound, I hereby accept the obligations obtained in this agreement in consideration of my being granted access to classified information. As used in this agreement, classified information is marked or unmarked classified information." Close quote. Paragraph 2 stated, and I'll quote, "I hereby acknowledge that I have received a security indoctrination concerning the nature and protection of classified information. and I understand these procedures. Now, the Department of State has released over 1,000 emails of Mrs. Clinton's that had classified information redacted from them. They also reported that 22 emails would not be released because they contained top secret information that was so sensitive that nothing in them could be released to the public. Now, what did General Petraeus do? General Petraeus was cooperating with his biographer as she did research to complete his biography. General Petraeus shared his black books from his time in Afghanistan with his biographer, who incidentally had a top secret clearance. General Petraeus's black books were 5 by 8-inch notebooks that contained his daily schedule, classified and unclassified notes that he took during official meetings, conferences, and briefings during his stay in Afghanistan. Although the black books were not marked classified, they were still considered classified by the United States government and General Petraeus. General Petraeus allowed his black books to be kept at the unauthorized location of his biographer. So, both Mrs. Clinton and General Petraeus knowingly allowed classified information of the United States to be maintained at unauthorized locations. They both did similar things. Now, on video 2, we will address the question of whether or not Mrs. Clinton's actions violated the law. Well, I hope this helps. Have a good day.